how the respiration takes place, how the exchange of gases takes place in the alveoli. As you all know that alveoli is having all capillary network, blood capillaries, and that is why when these capillaries are connected to the alveoli, the gases are exchanged in the alveoli. Now here you will see this exchange of gases are picturized here in the form of this diagram, and here you will find that how respiratory system is coordinated with circulatory system, right? And what I said, that how these systems are functioning all together in the production of energy. Now here you will find that in this is alveoli, and here this is a blood capillaries. Now in this blood vessel, which is red in color, which is carrying the oxygenated blood, is given red color, right? So this oxygen from the inhaled oxygen from the alveoli is taken by this blood vessel, which is brought to the heart, and from heart it is sent by aorta to the various different arteries. Those are giving this oxygen to the different parts of the body, tissues and cells. Now from the different parts of body, tissues and cells, you will find that this waste gases like carbon dioxide are brought back, and they are given here by veins into the heart, by vena cava. You all know that, right? Now from the heart, this deoxygenated blood, which is having carbon dioxide and the waste gases, will be taken to the alveoli, and in the reverse passage, the way we inhaled air into the alveoli through nostrils and through larynx, pharynx, and through trachea and bronchi, and it has reached to the alveoli. So in the same manner, but in a opposite reverse direction, from alveoli it will go to the bronchi, and bronchi to the trachea, and trachea to the larynx, pharynx, and then nostrils it will be exhaled out. So that is how the inhalation and exhalation is going on, and we do not know these various processes are occurring inside our body without our notice. This simultaneously this exchange of gases are going on. We know only the external respiration, we know only breathing, but once we have breathed in the oxygen, what is next? That next now you have understood by this slide. Now here this is actually the flow chart, I can say. Once we have inhaled the oxygen, how it goes to the lungs, from the lungs it goes to the organs, and from organs it goes to the tissues, and from tissues it is sent to the various cells, as cell is the basic unit of life, right? And then inside the cell, this oxygen is utilized to produce energy. Now this energy production inside the cell, which takes place by 3 steps, and these 3 steps are glycolysis, TCA cycle, that is tricarboxylic acid cycle. It is also called as Krebs cycle, or even it is also called as citric acid cycle. Then the next is ETC, that is electron transfer chain reaction. So these 3 stages which takes place inside the cell. Now here it's a cell structure, animal cell. You all know that cell is very important, that is a basic unit of life, and in the cell all the activities are controlled, right? And all the activities of the cell are controlled by nucleus, and how that we will be seeing in the later part. But now we will be seeing the functions of cytoplasm and the mitochondria for the energy release, right? Now here we'll see that in the next slide, we will see that here when this glucose, which is a simple form of carbohydrate, we have taken in our body, we have absorbed in the blood, this glucose is taken to the different cells, and when it goes to the cells, it is undergoing the process called as glycolysis. It means breaking of glucose molecule. When this glucose molecule is broken, it forms pyruvic acid, that is 3 carbon compound. And you know what is glucose? Glucose is a 6 carbon compound. So this 6 carbon compound is broken down and forms 3 carbon compound, that is pyruvic acid. This process is called as glycolysis. And this glycolysis takes place where? In the cytoplasm of the cell. And for this process of glycolysis, there is no need of oxygen. This is actually takes place in the absence of oxygen, right? So this is a common step even in anaerobic organisms, right? Those are doing their respiration in the absence of oxygen. Now here, this pyruvic acid, which is a 3 carbon compound, is further transferred into 2 carbon compound, that is acetyl coenzyme A. And this acetyl coenzyme A then enters into the mitochondria. Now here you can see in the diagram of mitochondria that acetyl coenzyme A has entered and it will undergo this Krebs cycle or TCA cycle. Now what happens here exactly? This acetyl coenzyme A is combines with oxaloacetic acid, and then the reaction takes place, and as a result of this reaction here, electron transport chain reaction, you will find that NADH2, FADH2, ATP molecules, and here carbon dioxide and water molecules are formed. So many things are forming. Carbon dioxide and water, they are the byproducts and they are released here as a byproduct in this reaction. Whereas you will find that this NADH2 and FADH2, they are also energy molecules along with ATP. Now here, why I have written here lipids and proteins here? As I told you, lipids are also important. They are also giving us energy, but they are kept as a last source of energy. And even proteins are kept as a last source of energy. Proteins, their simple forms of amino acids. Fats or lipids, their simple form is fatty acids. They directly will get converted into acetyl coenzyme A, and thereon they will be also undergoing a Krebs cycle or TCA cycle in the mitochondria to release the energy, right? So ultimately energy is released from any of these nutrients, lipids, carbohydrates or proteins, but carbohydrates are used in maximum. Why? That I will tell you in the later part, right? Now we'll go ahead. What is energy? What is ATP? ATP is nothing but adenosine triphosphate. Now what is this adenosine triphosphate? It is a compound which is made up of adenine and ribose sugar. Adenine is one hexagon and pentagon. You can see in the structure here. This is a hexagon and pentagon structure, and ribose sugar is a pentagon structure. Whereas it is also having 3 phosphate molecules. Those are connected with a high energy bonds. And when this ATP, which is in intact, is a energy currency, because whenever we want that, we can break it and we can release the energy in our body, and that energy can be utilized for various functions. Now what is forming then? When this ATP is utilized for the formation of energy, and how much of energy do we get from? 1 gram of carbohydrate or 1 molecule of glucose will give you 38 ATP molecules, right? Now this ATP will get converted into ADP, that is adenine diphosphate. Now what happens here in ADP, that is 1 phosphate bond is broken because it is utilized to formation of energy, to form the energy, right? And that is why this ADP will be like, you can compare that like a torch battery cell. Okay, we say a pencil cell which we are using in a torch, and when we use that new cell in a torch, what happens? It gives a bright light, right? And that bright light means the form of energy for us. It gives brighter light because it was new, that ATP was full there. But when we use that lot of, continuously we keep that torch on, what happens, that light will be dim slowly, means the energy is getting utilized and the cell will become empty. That is nothing but ADP formation. So in the textbook also you have got this concept of a cell or a battery to understand the concept of ATP converted into ADP. So that you need to understand. I hope this topic is clear to you all. Now we are talking about ATP, which is the energy currency. With that, we should understand this, what is NADH2 and FADH2. NADH2 is nothing but nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, and FADH2 is flavin adenine dinucleotide. One molecule of NADH2 will give us 3 ATP molecules, whereas one FADH2 will give us 2 ATP molecules. But ultimately, we are going to get at the end of this aerobic organisms, respiration in aerobic organisms, we are going to get 38 ATP molecules, right? Now here, this respiration also takes place in anaerobic organisms. Now, how it occurs in anaerobic organisms? Who does this anaerobic respiration? Dear students, microbes, microorganisms, those are unicellular, they perform this anaerobic respiration. Now, anaerobic respiration is in the absence of air and oxygen. They can do this respiration because they are in the closed containers. They are in some food packets, isn't it? So, they need not have to have oxygen, but still they can survive. They can release energy and they can survive. Now, other than that, there are some animals and even humans also perform anaerobic respiration. Now, here you will see that this anaerobic respiration takes place here in the microorganisms like yeast, and in yeast it is actually the useful microbe you have studied last year. This anaerobic respiration in the yeast which takes place is beneficial because it gives us a lot of bakery products and many more fermented products, right? So that is how this anaerobic respiration is utilized by us uh, in the industries. Now here you will see that it gives the production of alcohol, different vitamins, vinegar, wine production. For that, this fermentation process is used which takes place in the microbes. Now how humans are doing this anaerobic respiration? As we all know that we are having nostrils and we have a proper respiratory system. So why do we need to go for anaerobic respiration? Yes, you are very right. We actually not intend to do that, but whenever we are doing some physical exercises, we are climbing the staircase or we are climbing the mountain, or we have participated in a running race, at that time our body energy requirement is increasing. Rate of energy consumption becomes very high and body needs more oxygen to release more energy in the body as the requirement has increased. The requirement is more, the supply should also be maintained, supply also should be more. So when the energy consumption is more, so requirement has increased in the body, and that is why the supply of that energy should be increased. How the supply will be increased? We need to take more oxygen, and for that we do also, we open our mouth and we start inhaling, fast, like this we do. But that also is not sufficient, isn't it? And that time body automatically, without your knowledge, body switches to anaerobic respiration. That body feels by doing so, body will get the sufficient energy. But what happens here actually, because of this anaerobic respiration, the byproduct forms, that is lactic acid in the muscles. Then it spreads in the muscles and it brings fatigue in the muscles. And due to that, it restricts our movement, our motion, and then we stop, we collapse at that moment because of this lactic acid. As a result of this anaerobic respiration, only two ATP molecules are formed from one glucose molecule. So it is an incomplete oxidation, right? That molecule of glucose is not getting completely oxidized, and that is why very less amount of energy is released in the muscles, and that is why we collapsed, isn't it? So there are two reasons. One, it is due to the lactic acid we got fatigue, and second, due to very less amount of energy which got released, we got fatigued, we got tired, we exhausted, and we collapsed there, isn't it? So this is what is happening in the anaerobic respiration in the human beings, right? Now here you will see that this components of food provides us how much of energy. As already I told you that 1 gram of carbohydrate and 1 gram of protein gives us 4 kilocalories of energy, and our consumption is like is maximum is of carbohydrates, right? As you all know that we eat a lot of chapati, we eat rice, we eat potato sabji along with that. So we eat maximum source of our energy is from carbohydrates, because our diet is dominated by carbohydrates, and that is why we obtain maximum energy from carbs. Now here you will see that 1 gram of fat also gives us 9 kilocalories of energy, but inclusion of fats in a diet is limited, and that is why these fats are retained. They are used only for certain functions. Similarly, proteins also, because proteins, as I said, lipids and proteins are spared for what? For their important functions to be performed in the body. They have various more other functions to be performed in the body. That is why these components, these nutrients are spared by carbohydrates, and they themselves are only used for the energy production. Now here, what are the various functions of proteins in our body? As you can see in this diagram, which is given in your textbook also, of amino acids. In this diagram, you will see that there are various uses, branches we can see in this diagram. So what are these things? Here, students, remember that in our body, approximately 20 amino acids are present, and all these amino acids are performing very important role in our body. Like these amino acids or these forms of proteins are present in every part of our body. They're present in the cell because they want to form cell membrane, right? And there are various enzymes are also getting produced inside the cell. They're present in the skin, they're present in the hair, they're present in the skin in the form of melanin pigments, melanin, which gives us strength. In the hair, keratin, which also is a very good protein for the hair growth. Here you will see that these proteins are present in a bone, in bones, in the form of ossin. These proteins are present in a pancreas as they release the hormone and enzymes like hormone insulin and enzyme trypsin. These proteins are required to release various hormones in the pituitary gland. As last year you have studied that pituitary gland is a master of all the endocrine glands, which releases nearly 7 to 8 hormones in our body. Then here you will see that these amino acids are very important to develop the muscles, form the muscles, and what I can say, flexible proteins in the muscles. Due to that, we can perform various activities and actions. These proteins are actin and myosin, and here in the blood also we have some forms of proteins like hemoglobin, which is an oxygen carrier, and antibodies. They help us to prevent the infectious diseases from pathogens, isn't it? So in this way, proteins are performing various functions like wear and tear, tissue formation. They do protection from the pathogens of our body. They regulate the hormones in our body, isn't it? Hormone production is there. They give strength to the skin, isn't it? Immunity is increased because of that. Hair also gets strength in that. Bones also get stronger because of these proteins. And that is why protein supply is very essential. How much of protein do you have in your diet? Now check from tomorrow onwards, right? Not tomorrow, today onwards, that how much of protein intake you people are doing. In fact, you are the growing children. Your need of proteins is comparatively high, as you need to develop your muscles, you need to develop your bones, you need to develop your hormones, isn't it? Because now you are in an adolescent period. A lot of hormonal changes are going on in your body, and that is why you need to have a healthy food, right?